Hello, welcome to another Spotlight interview. Today it is being brought on a beautiful, magical Monday with one of the most magical people that I know, Olivia Rath.
Hello. Olivia is our roommate, is an ally, is an empowerer, is a feminist, is a witch. Olivia wears a lot of beautiful hats, and I am so excited because she is going to be talking with us and sharing her light today. One of the greatest lights that she has given me and one of the greatest lessons that she has given me is about my sexual health, my well-being, consent specifically, and at core. And a lot of these ideas that helped me blossom what I wanted to bring into Flow AF too, and a lot of you just helped me grow in such beautiful ways. And beautiful is a word I overuse, but it's because I can't help but find light like yours to be anything except beautiful. So
Thank you.
Yeah, that's my introduction of Olivia Rath.
Yes, so if you want to introduce yourself, however you would like.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Olivia Rath. I am their roommate. I'll be moving out here shortly and soon. I'm gonna go back into the world of working with kids pretty soon, and I'm really jazzed about it. Right now, one of the hats that I wear, I guess, is being a bartender. I was a jewelry consultant. I just graduated in 2020 from UNK. After a couple years of wanting to be a special education teacher, still having a lot of desire in my heart to work with individuals who have disabilities and gifted individuals as well. But I fell off of that path pretty hard and fell in love with sex education and wanting people to be empowered to have positive sexual experiences. And I studied sociology for my last year, graduated. COVID happened, lived in this beautiful living room and space that my friends have created. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, and I'm an advocate, first and foremost, always. I have goals to become a sex therapist. I have goals to become a doctor in sex and sexology. But first and foremost, I have to gain that experience working with people who have mental health issues. I can't be a 22, 23, 25-year-old, working with these people and not really having that groundwork foundational experience. I've worked in YRTC and it was not a fit for me. It was a place that I was too young.
Can you share the acronym of YRTC?
YRTC stands for Youth Rehabilitation and Treatment Center. There are 3 locations. The Geneva one was a failure and shut down because they really struggled to have people working at it. The females really struggled up there, so they moved to the Kearney location. And then there's one in Lincoln that's way more mental health based, I would say. YRTC is the last stop for kids who kind of have gone through the system. It is one of the last areas that they can go before JDC or before jail or prison, and they age out at 19 years old, which is the legal age of adulthood there. And the experience I gained there was just absolutely invaluable. And I think about those kids often and daily, but unfortunately, I just wasn't a good fit there. And I think that there are other areas where, as they keep saying, my light can shine. And so now I've been a bartender, which what better place to gain mental health experience than a bar,
You sound like Billy Joel.
You wipe down the bar and you can tell me about your problems and your issues. I'll serve you a beer any day at Thunderhead Brewing, which is a great little pizza place. I love that place a lot. I'm excited to still have Thunderhead in Omaha where I'm moving. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess, shall we jump right in then?
My pronouns are also she, her.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We were gonna, yes, my pronouns are she, her. Yeah, I'm gonna stop there. That's all. Okay, cool.
My mine as well. She, her.
Lots to consider though, and always something that I think people should constantly be considering. What are your pronouns? Do they still fit you? Do they still serve you? How do you call yourself? How do you have others call you?
I have a friend, and Ellery and Mary know Jared as well, and Jared wants to bring light forward, I guess, on understanding they, them pronouns, and so his pronouns are he, they, because he understands that the binary isn't super serving and is very exclusionary to about over millions of people. I mean, 0.2% of the US population, I'm pretty sure, is intersex. And that's 16 million people who don't have a place to like fit and are told constantly, you know, you are not within this binary, you are not within this sect. So that's your issue, not ours. When it's not.
I love that because that hesitation that I just had was about, I was like, should I include they? Because I think that similarly, but then I was like, yeah, I just don't know enough about whether or not that would be stepping on toes and whatnot. But thank you for talking about that.
Something I've like really been like working with Mickey on, especially my girlfriend, is she loves to call babies it, which boys do too. Like lots of people, unfortunately, will just refer to babies as it. And that's whatever, I guess, but I'm just challenging her constantly to be like, well, we can't have a baby until you can refer to the baby as they, them, you know? They're not a it, they are they. They are them. They are a person, so.
Oh my gosh. That was an alarm for a school. We're not at school right now.
It was fun though. I like
that. Now take a deep breath. Remembering that you do belong in the world, and just because the systems in place are not inclusive does not mean that the humans here are not. That makes sense. But you get the gist of it. Humans are inclusive, systems are bound to change.
I was just learning about in class the romantic socialists. That's a fun little interesting thing to go Google and learn about, but hop off on that later. Into our questions. General traits, level 1. What song, book, quote, movie, show, etc. have you been thinking about a lot lately and why?
You can have multiple.
You can have multiple. So like shows, go watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. If you want to feel heard, better, or just cringe a little bit, watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It is this beautiful tale of this woman essentially seeking diagnosis and choosing herself time and time again. And it's hilarious. There's singing in it, and if you're not about singing, you're not about me. So,
Agreed. You're here.
I think like songs for sure would be like Dear Insecurity by Nash, which Mary showed us a couple of years ago, and it always just, it makes me feel better. It's a great little ditty that reminds you that like your mind really unfortunately sometimes likes to make you feel like you're not a person when you are, and you're so much more than your insecurities. Quotes, I friggin' love quotes. Oh my god. Quotes are my love language. I have a whole Pinterest board dedicated to quotes. When I become a therapist, what I really would love to have, I would have loved to have like vaginas, boobs, everything decorating my office wall to wall to wall. But specifically quotes I would love to have would be the finished versions of Curiosity Killed the Cat, but one of its lives brought it back. It's the understanding that Westernization has really cut a lot of things short, has really decided to make things sound prettier than what they really are, I think. Like, blood is thicker than water, but the covenant of
blood is thicker than, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, meaning that you can choose your family. It's not necessarily the family of blood.
Exactly. I would love to just have my office decorated with those things because I think it helps people remember that like things go wrong, and it's not these short little stints that have like decorated our lives. The early bird gets the worm, but the second one doesn't get eaten by the crow. Stuff like that. So yeah. And to Live Will Be an Awfully Big Adventure by Jay Unbury from Peter.
Peter Pan has been on my mind lately. What's up with this?
Me
What's
too.
the theme?
Me too. Yeah. I think shadow work has been on my mind lately. So Peter Pan.
Faith, trust, and pixie dust. I believe in it.
Ugh. I did want to say, Liv showed me Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and at first I was like, oh my good heavens, what is going on with this show? But stuck it out, and now I will use it as a teaching tool to every human that I encounter, because it is what every human, I think, needs to see.
They both have used it as therapy for me before. It's fantastic.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. A great show. I think that it's important to remember how picking specific TV shows or songs or whatever can be super therapeutic, whereas picking other ones can be super damaging. So always pick the ones that are going to fill your soul in various ways. But
Whatever is good, whatever is true, whatever is beautiful, whatever is kind.
yeah.
Dude, for sure. When I'm like on a like dive, you know, like when I'm not like in my best state or like my best mindset, I think watching things is very indicative of like where I am at. Like rewatching BoJack Horseman, I'm not doing well. Like if I'm watching that show, I am obviously not well.
I agree.
You know, like
Yep.
we're watching like really sad things and whatnot. So
Teabag.
sorry.
Tea time. Teabag. We're back. That's a good indicator. I feel like there are certain shows where it's like, oh, maybe we should check in and see how we're doing.
13 Reasons Why. And like these are great shows. Highly recommend them. But like I think watching things that are heavy on the heart do carry over. Like whether it's conscious or unconscious, it's there.
Absolutely.
Or sad music. I love sad music.
You do love sad
Ellery
music.
hates that I love sad music.
Yeah,
Ellery.
I worry about her heart.
I love sad music so much, guys. It's so good. I love the emotion behind it.
You can really feel their energy and intent, which is beautiful, but also can put it on as a layer and as a weight without even realizing it. It's playing in the subconscious brain, which can be is so powerful in many different ways.
Especially if you're somebody that has some sort of like spectrum disorder where you pay attention to subconscious things or stimuli really easily, and or you pay attention to it really hard subconsciously and you don't know. It's always something to pay attention to. With that, actually, then moving into our next little level here of personal concerns. What spiritual guidance or religion were you raised with? Did you feel or know that it connected you to God? Or you like to, Mary always likes to say synonyms.
Universe, the cosmos, the power of love, the divine.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, if nobody watches. I grew up in Lutheran. Disclaimer. I grew up in Lutheran, right? And then I went to a Catholic high school because my parents wanted me to like test better. Jokes on them. Did not.
I love that reason.
Did not happen. They didn't want me to have block scheduling and all of that jazz. Instead, now I don't believe in Jesus very much. I think he's a great dude. Think he's super cool. Jesus hung out with prostitutes. He was a great man, you know. Canon Jesus, way more cooler than Band Jesus. But as of late, I think my spirituality and my connections are so much more in realizing that like every person I encounter is a reflection of myself. The Egg by Andy Weir is something that has really resonated with me. My ex-boyfriend Chris showed me this, and we like watched The Good Place together. Also, great show. Great show.
Great
And
and just watched
we're just waves crashing into each other. And understanding that like energy isn't good or bad, it just is. But on the flip side of that, I believe in a very, very Catholic argument, and I love this argument so much. And it's the thought that there's no such thing as like the idea of evil. I don't believe in evil. It's just the absence of good. It's the absence of peace. It's the absence of light. So I don't know. I think it'd be very cool to feel some connection to something higher than me, but I don't, and I haven't for a very long time. I just feel connections to people around me, and I feel connections to our mother, to the earth. I feel connections to, like recently I just lost my grandfather, and I feel connections in ways where we talk about wanting to go fishing with him and honoring people that way. So, yeah.
Can I ask you a question that wasn't on the sheet?
Yeah, of course. I love questions.
So recently I have got with tarot deck, and I've had many beautiful readings. And what do you feel like that is, or are you still discovering? Because you said it's been a while since you connected with something higher, so I'm just curious.
Oh, I'm definitely still like discovering with that for sure. I'm such a baby with that. I'm watching, or I'm not watching. I'm listening to the end. Tarot for the End of Times by Sandra. I don't want to misquote that at all, but beautiful. I'm not just sleeping, but beautiful, beautiful podcast. Yep, Tarot for the End of Times with Sarah Cargill. Right up. And Cargill. Cargill. I think I'm still very much so learning. I just like to do like the daily like shuffle and then like one tarot pull, and I think it's good understandings for like where I'd like to go for my day or ways that I would like to like focus on. I think motivation has been like at the forefront of a lot of people's brains as of late, especially with how freaking cold outside it is.
I have a question then. Would it be more accurate to say you connect to something bigger or wider than yourself? Like maybe you're finding outreach and more community?
Yes. I don't feel connections to things that are higher than me. I feel connections to things that are bigger than me and than my community. Yes, I think that's a really great like way to understand that. I think I'm still very much so learning with my tarot. I am very much so a baby witch. I have a great book called The Green Witch. A friend Tiffany has gotten me those before. Miss you, Daily. I think I am working very hard at understanding like my connection to all four elements and who I am, because as desperately as I want to be a green witch, I play all of my phones.
Wow.
Or your kitty cat does.
Or my cat decides to throw them in the toilet.
Outside forces.
Outside. Oh man. And the tarot just is helping me understand. It's a beautiful Pride tarot deck. This is just the general card of it, but it says love is love, and it's a Pride tarot, and it is the most meaningful present ever. Mary sees rainbow things, and she's automatically like, OMG, Olivia. Yeah. And I'm like, I am. You're right. I think the best compliments like I've ever gotten is like Tiffany calling me like a rainbow and stuff. I think rainbows are huge spiritual.
Speaking of connecting to things bigger than you, you're planning on going to Pride in Chicago, hopefully.
Oh my gosh, if Pride's happen in June this year, I don't know. Everybody stay the fuck home. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here, but everybody stay home. That'd be really, really cool. I don't know. I would love to be able to celebrate Pride. But I think something that's awesome to like carry with you about like Pride events is that it started off as like a riot, and now we see these beautiful marriages happening. We see people being able to love their person in public. I think it's good ways to honor those that we have lost to AIDS, because I don't think people realize often enough the 40 to 50-year-olds and like the 30 to 50-year-old rate, I would say, of men that are missing because of their loss to AIDS. Because again, coming back to sex, we don't have sex education for gay people. We don't have an understanding of what gay or lesbian sex should be. We don't have an understanding of transgender people entering into severe body dysmorphia during a sexual encounter. And not saying that I am any expert on speaking about this at all. Without a doubt, I am not. But I think it's important to bring awareness to that, because the bare minimum heterosexual sex education that we have, it's not cutting it. It's not cutting it at all. Gay men and lesbian women deserve, and transgender people and everybody in between deserve to have positive sexual experiences and understand what the fuck their body is.
Beautiful. Maybe that. And before then we go into level 3, maybe that's a great time for it. Lovely.
Lovely. Oh. Into a straight back and start swaying back and forth. Slow, fast, whatever you're needing. Making your head a little bit like a double chin, but just so the crown of our head is open, receiving, loving. Oh, put your hands up, crack your lats, and bring your butterfly onto your hearts. Setting an intention, something that resonated with you, something you're looking forward to watching or implementing, or just an intention for the rest of your day. And consider it.
Beautiful. I overuse it.
I don't think there's such a thing.
All right. Self-narrative. What has been your greatest failure? And then your greatest success? And what did they teach you?
I think it's unfortunate that when I hear failure, right, I think a lot of people will just be flooded with all of these moments of this, oh shit, I wasn't good enough then, I wasn't good enough then. I think my greatest failure thus far would be the negative self-talk I've allowed myself to fall into. I think my greatest failure would be the lack of motivation I have to do things. Immediately my mind does really want to go to leaving YRTC earlier than my 2 weeks. I had a really severe weekend of mental health issues, and I didn't feel very supportive. And so that Monday, I just kept getting nailed for things that I was doing wrong. And so I walked away. I suffered a lot of loss this last summer, losing a friend, losing a lover. Yeah, and I think just allowing myself to really fall into a pit of just self-doubt, worthlessness, struggling to have any kind of successful morning. But I think that is what makes me such a good advocate for mental health and for sex education and for wanting to do the things that I want to do. We can't have the rainbow without rain. I think one of my greatest successes would be finding the people that I have. down to Lex Milburn, my sophomore year of college, I divulged a lot of things that had happened to me the previous summer, and she just took me under her wing, and I had a really reckless sophomore year of college. I went to Ireland, and I came back, and I was immersed in this group of women and these people who just hung out every night. We knew every intricate detail about our days. We put off our homework together. We studied together. We sang together. We made meals. We became adults. And I know that the quote, "It takes a village." I don't think that ends in childhood. I don't think that stops when you're 15 or something. I think the village you continuously find continuously raises you and keeps you growing and keeps you being the person you're supposed to be. Also going to Ireland at 19 years old, that was pretty lit. That was pretty cool. I was pretty pleased with myself then.
So then, regarding what you'll be sharing with us next time, how does this help you grow, learn, or follow your purpose? And we'll be meeting with you next time to talk about consent.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about what this consent workshop is going to look like, so bear with me. We might be cooking and doing consent at the same time. I don't know.
We love a work in progress.
I don't know if it's going to be consent for kids or consent for adults. But can you rephrase that? I'm so sorry.
Yes, no, it's just fine. So what you'll be helping with, or consent, next time we meet, how does consent and talking about consent and learning about sex education help you grow, learn, and follow your purpose?
So I was given this opportunity at the end of my academic career with Dr. Lofgren to do some basic research for sex education in Nebraska. Something that fired me up and still fires me up, and it's a weird connection, right? In 2016, in modern government, my modern government teacher, Mr. Brockhouse, he talked about OPS redefining their sex education. And I mean, he is this Catholic school teacher, he's trying to play devil's advocate, but he still is Catholic, so he still has to throw down the newspaper, and he's got to talk about how ridiculous is it that we're teaching third graders about sex, all of these things. And then being a 21-year-old woman reading through these articles and going through it and seeing the violent language that is used, the way that this one woman talked about how kids are being raped with this knowledge, it really put a fire under my belly, and it really continuously puts a fire under my belly, because the fact of the matter is kids out of the womb, kids who are as young as can be, literally any age that you can think of, any age. Just sit and think about the youngest kid that you know that's been sexually exploited. It's younger. It's happening at every age. Thousands of files are shared daily. And that's why I keep doing what I'm doing, because kids have a right to know what their body is. They have a right to know that they have a vagina, that they have a penis, that they have everything in between. They have a right to know how it works, and they have a right to advocate for themselves.
I want to put in here that multiple times when I was doing legal research for defense cases, we would come across cases where the child involved, and it could be two children talking, or this could have been a sexual interaction between an adult and a child, whatever. But so many times I would come across a case where somebody didn't know what the meaning of the word consent meant, and there was the whole case. That's it. That's all we need to do, is show that people couldn't even he couldn't get consent because she couldn't, how would they even know? And or these children couldn't give each other consent because neither of them knew what consent was. So the sexual interaction was void. It's null. And yeah, so just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening far too often, and parents want to argue that they'll teach sex education.
No, they're so scared.
Which is fair. It's a scary thing because how can you? You
You're
weren't taught sex education,
Yeah.
so how can you teach your kids sex
blame you.
education who grow up and then have kids of their own and can't teach sex education? It is a horrible, endless cycle, and it has to end. It just has to. Abstinence-only sex education is not working. I know that we're about to see a generation of kids unlike any other generation before because of technology and because they are not as big of risk takers, and pregnancy is about to go down because our generation isn't having kids because we can't afford shit and because we're able to think. But fact of the matter is sex is still happening. People are still doing it. And safe, happy, positive sexual encounters have to start happening. They absolutely have to. If you need any resources at all, literally searching in an Instagram tab, consent will pull up with amazing women and men who have awesome podcasts and awesome ideas and platforms and workshops for you to understand what that is, as well as what sex education is, because literally it's not the X-rated, R-rated, OMG, it's penis and vagina, all of these things. No, it's your body autonomy, it's your body anatomy, it's understanding what masturbation is and loving yourself. It's so much more, and I am excited to share this message with you guys and continue to be an advocate for sex education and helping kids be the people that they are meant to be.
Sometimes I think people get so like, how could I ever teach consent? Because they think of these misconceptions that thinking of how they were taught terribly and all this stuff. And it's as simple as in my classroom, when someone gives a hug to someone without asking, we address it. Because that's their space. Did you ask your friend if you could touch them? And they're like, well, no, but it's my friend. And I was like, well, how would you feel if someone just came up to you with a hug? And they're like, I would feel very good about that. And then it's done there. Then they know, oh, next time I'll just ask. Hey, can I give you a hug? I know it's COVID time, but we're in school a lot. Sometimes they want to give each other hugs and they masks on to wash their hands.
Yeah, kids do shit.
We've been in school since August.
This
Okay.
is why I think it's funny how they were like, we're gonna have all the kids go back and we're all gonna be in little single file lines all the time. It's gonna be good.
No touching. Like, sorry, have you met children? I'm sorry.
Have you worked with a child?
Have you ever met a child? Probably not, but.
And here's a bigger question. Have you worked with multiple all at once?
I guarantee that's a no. And bringing it back to people who make decisions about consent and sex education who have not worked in the field or do not have any understanding. And there lies the problem, and that's why we are so blessed and lucky to have someone as passionate as Olivia Rath shining her light to the true problem that's in our system. There have been multiple teachers, myself included, who have been shamed for teaching things like this to children, and that ends. That's stopping. That's why I'm leaving, one of the major reasons, because children will no longer be exploited. We will continue to work, and we will be working hard, because the kids that are coming, like Luke said, they are powerhouses. They are warriors. We will change this world together with little hands and helpers.
Understanding that it's not shameful to have a body, because you and everybody's got one, and also how we all got here. We didn't get here by the sword. We didn't get here by chance. I mean, kind of by chance. Yeah, that's actually true. But you got here more often than not because of sex. If you're a test tube baby, I see you too, and you're just as valid.
Hey,
But,
Savannah.
but this was how you got here. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Because whatever it is that did get you here, it was intimate, and there was something powerful that had to happen. Something really powerful. So combining the forces, and there you are. All right. Well, I guess that kind of wraps it up then for our interview. We are very excited for next week to learn all about consent.
Is there a last thought, message, anything you just want to share with the people watching today? It could be as cooking tip to whatever.
Consent is sexy, and I'm going to leave it at that. If any man ever, and I do say men, because typically it's men, if there's any man who ever says, no, it takes you out of the moment, I want to leave this thought with you before we talk about consent next time. Imagine if you were given the tools to talk about what you are doing with your body and how your body is working when you are doing that act, and if you were able to communicate that effectively, because that sounds a lot more stellar than being quiet and fucking the sack of potatoes.
Duh. And you know what? Shame all of the people who taught it the wrong way. But we can be mad at you, but again, you're serving your purpose, so, which is terrible, but that's fine. We will serve our purpose.
And you can learn and grow.
And you can learn and grow. And probably the people watching this are not the ones, but you know what I mean. We're shining your light and keep continuing these messages. It will get into those shadows and those necks that really need to hear it and let it sit with them and grow. Let it grow. Absolutely. Well, catch us next week on, would Saturday or Sunday work better for you next week? I guess it's this weekend. Saturday.
Yeah, I move next weekend.
Yeah.
Any moving tips? A lot of drama.
Cool. And a time that works best for you? All I would really want to do you. Saturday at noon? Yeah, Saturday at noon. Awesome. Central Standard Time. We will be going live. It will be a consent workshop. And I'm going to guess, a journal and a water bottle.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know if you need anything else. We look forward to seeing you. And remember, consent is sexy and anything else is just rape.
Done.
Duh.